for the later distribution. So this being a test, which I may not use for future reference, I guess I should start out by doing the test runs. Obviously, I do not have the newspaper that I want to have to show to everybody this is the date, so I'm not just making it up after some things that are going to come. Yes, don't think for a second, people, that the world around us is just some mechanical thing and things that happen are just completely coincidental, etc., etc. So, this is the test run, and I'm going to do a little more of the recording first, look back over it, and to see if I'm going to want to use this and post on YouTube and everything, because I figure everybody's using the internet, I might as well too, because, well, there's something about that word, internet, and we're going to get into that a little later. I like to call it the Socratic method model, and it's very important because Socrates would state that whenever you have a debate, or discussion, or whatever you want to have, or loss of bias, you and your counterpart need to have the same ground to stand on before you can do anything. Otherwise, everything you are saying is going to be taken out of context. Everything that you discuss is going to be misinterpreted, and you're going to be on two different planes completely. So then you're not able to see eye to eye and value the other's opinion from your own. That's the whole point. Seeing from one perspective of another, like F. Fitzgerald says. The sign of intelligence is when a person can hold two opposing ideas in mind at the same time and still be able to function. We'll get into that later. So let's see how this is going to work. This is new to me. I've been wanting to do this for a while now. I keep putting it off. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then I don't. So I actually want to speak louder, but I'm actually at work, and I'm in a computer lab monitor. So people could just come in and use these. And if I start talking about the things I'm going to speak about, obviously people would be not able to do their homework and whatnot, and it would be rude, etc. Not to mention, I'm still trying to get used to talking about the things that I'm going to share because, well, I believe it in my heart, and I believe it up here. And when you bring them together, that's when we start to have that focus that we all need in our lives, as individuals and as a collective society. But a lot of people don't want to hear it, and even if they do, in a lot of cases, some people aren't ready. It's like in the Matrix, when you say, a person cannot see beyond a point that they don't understand, and I mean no one can do that. And if a person is not ready to have the unveiling, they're not going to be ready to receive it. And that's just the bottom line. So it is a little difficult to discuss these things out loud and be all very boisterous because, well, a lot of people look at me like, okay, sure, buddy. And back to the unveiling, the apocalypse. The apocalypse, defined, actually means an unveiling. So all it means is receiving something new and something you have not seen before that you were not able to in the past. And now that you can, you're able to no longer be blind. You'll be into a new world. And that is what apocalypse is. It's not the end, this doom, gloom. However, this is important to note, you can choose what will come. That's free will. So let's test out these. I'm going to get into symbols, and discussing the meanings. And I'm actually going to school myself, and I'm learning many things. And I've known a lot of things in my heart growing up for a long time, and then I kind of just took the world on because that's just the way it is. And now that I'm going to college, after traveling the world and whatnot, I'm finding that many of the things that I'm digging, all this research I'm doing, I'm finding that the things we're taught are just not true. And they're not helpful, and they're actually hindering us and holding us back, holding ourselves back because we choose to believe this. And that's something that Immanuel Kant talks about, where we have to have liberation from self-imposed tutelage, which basically means a fancy way of saying we should dare to know, question everything, don't just accept things that, someone says, well, the sky is green. You should be like, wait a second, why are you saying the sky is green? And, even if they say it's blue, we should question that too for ourselves. And then we could find out some really fascinating things, even if it ends up being the truth. And then you'll connect with the other things. And that's what it's all about. That is what our purpose is as human beings. Connection. Masters of ourselves and servants of others. That is the purpose. So, getting a little off sidetrack for my first time out. So let's do some drawings, and then I'll come back and check this later and make it more formal, if you will. I've never been the most formal person. I hadn't even seen me changing my look. Okay, let's discuss a very ancient symbol that many of us have seen before, regardless of your faith. Oh, I'm not the best drawer in the world, so work with me here. Oh, that's another thing. This room's light is motion censored, so it goes off every 10 minutes. How exciting. Okay, so here we have the circle with here we have a very ancient symbol. In fact, I should probably make it more pronounced. There we go. This, in the Christian faith, we'll start there. Why not? Because the Christians, they went around the globe and they told everybody, do you know Jesus? Do you know Jesus? You heathen. Question is, do you know Jesus? Anyways, they had spread Christianity. But before they got to go from without into the world, they were within. And within their culture was Rome, the wonderful civilization that spawned everything that we have today. And it ended up splitting. A house divided cannot stand, right? So it split into the west and into the east. The Westerners, they lost their way. They went into the Dark Ages, the Medieval Ages, the Spanish Inquisition, and a whole bunch of other really scary things, and lots of people dying, and plagues, and the East went on to have relative success for another 1,000 years. Another 1,000 years. And their symbol that they used was a little different than the Western. Whenever we would see JC, he would have a halo, okay, over him with light going around, let there be light, and etc., etc. Well, in the depiction, there was this symbol with the cross. It was different than in the Western world, which would either have just the cross by itself, or with a dead guy hanging there, nailed to it, which is the traditional Catholic perspective, symbolizing that he's still dead and he hasn't risen, which is a concept that I've always thought was rather interesting that they would do. So anyhow, they moved on, and split. Well, the East kept the symbol. The symbol was very interesting. Matter of fact, I've been studying many ancient texts and all sorts of other material, and I'm finding lots of things that correlate with each other. There are many things that coincide and connect. And when you realize that things coincide, there's a word we need to rethink called coincidence. Okay? When you hear words, what a coincidence, that isn't a coincidence like we think of it today as something that is happening and there's no connection and that it doesn't mean anything. It's just, oh, no, you better wake up and pay attention. If you see these events that coincide, then that means there's something going on and you should pay attention from within and from without. Ebb and flow. That's the wonderful, wonderful world we live in. So, this symbol, while I was studying a lot of things, I'll cut to the heart of it. It deals with science and spirituality. This side is the mental, the scientific, the reason, the analytical, the logic. It's the 1,000 words. Then we have spirituality, which is intuitive, creative, the big picture. This is considered masculine, and this is considered feminine. Now, as I researched this symbol that we see right here, which is part of the Eastern Orthodox Christian faith that they've seen, and it's everywhere. You look at the cathedrals and all the different buildings, the paintings, it's everywhere. And they were able to have a better, brighter success than the West, where the West was more dark and, scary and made it sound like being a human being is a depraved, disgusting thing, and that we're just vile creatures, and that the only way we could have any type of redemption and healing is in an afterlife, and etc. And then they controlled it and made everybody illiterate, and people would have to go through this one man to experience God and to be saved and all this. They were very manipulative with it, whereas the East, they didn't do that as bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still happens, but there's reasons for this, which you will get plenty of videos of in the future. So, back to the symbol. I found it very interesting as I did my research and coming together that this is also a pagan symbol. Yes, a pagan symbol. And that's a word we like to think of as being bad. Oh, a pagan, that's a heathen. Well, let's get something straight. There were people who were studying the world around them for thousands of years before the Christian faith came in. In fact, the Christian faith was designed by the Romans to take on other religious themes and constructs so that people would be more willing to take it in. That is one of the reasons they had so much success. They would take somebody else's stuff, mimic it, and then manipulate it. But I'll be back. I'm getting a call from a friend.